Hello everyone. In this video, let's talk about what thickness of sponge of a pips in rubber should be chosen by an all-round style player. Let's clarify what is meant by the all-round style. It is a middle ground between an attacking style and a defensive style. The player alternates between attacking, playing passively, blocking, and defending away from the table. It is not aggressive defense. The defender gives the initiative to the opponent and plays from a defensive position, sometimes transitioning to attack after defensive actions. An all-round player can return serves in various ways, for example, always like an attacking player, but then they do not always attack and do not repeat the attack 5 times. The all-round player adds tactics to their game, alternating between powerful strokes and slow ones, playing long rallies and short ones. He tries to come up with different variations of shots, trying to vary everything they can. So the game can be as diverse as possible in all aspects. What rubbers should be used for such a game? 2 pips in rubbers or 1 pips in rubber and any other rubber. If you have any other suggestions, write them in the comments. And the question is, what thickness of sponge is better for a pips in rubber in this style of play? Before answering this question, I ask you to mercilessly click the subscribe button and like this video. Do it confidently, as if you are scoring a goal in an empty net. So, what thickness of sponge is better for the all-round game? And what options are there in general? Let's round off all possible sponge thickness values a bit, and then the list will be as follows. I suggest immediately crossing out the thicknesses of 1 mm and 1.2 mm. These are only for defense. They can be used for the all-round style, but the effectiveness will be lower, so I do not recommend it. Next, 1.5 mm. There may be options, but generally, this thickness is also for defensive play. It can be used for the all-round style, but the attacking shots will significantly suffer, so I still don't recommend it. This is on average, i.e., if we don't talk about specific rubber names. Sometimes it may turn out that a particular rubber with a thickness of 1.5 mm also plays reasonably well in the all-round style, but we won't count on that. So, we are left with 1/8 mm, 2.0 mm, and maximum thickness. I am an all-round style player, and through the method of endless trial and error with various rubbers, I came to an unexpected choice for myself, a soft tensor rubber with a thickness of 1/8 mm. I want to emphasize that this is not the only option, there can be different ways. There are millions of options for different equipment. My racket is an excellent option for the all-round style, which you can also assemble. I will tell you a bit about it and then about other options. For me, it doesn't matter which brand of equipment, country, etc. The most important thing for me is to have the best possible playing characteristics, a reasonable price, and durability. So, the offensive blade with arolate carbon, Inher 970XXA. The pips in rubber is Dr. Neubauer dominant spin 1/8 mm, and long pimples without sponge. In fact, I jump around the pimples like a grasshopper. The dominant spin 1/8 mm has shown itself brilliantly in an all-round style, and I continue to enjoy its performance every time. I tried the 2.1 thickness as well, and it's also playable, but 1/8 is definitely better for my style of play. I won't go into detail about the advantages and possibilities of the 1/8 thickness right now. We have already made a separate video on this topic, where you can find out all about it. I will just say that the 1/8 thickness doesn't do well for topspin on low balls from the forehand. In other words, it's significantly worse than an attacking rubber in maximum thickness. I don't like doing forehand topspins, but I love backhand attacking in various ways. The rest of the attack from both sides works well with 1/8, and even the flat shots are better than with maximum thickness. So, if you love aggressively topspinning from the right on balls that are at net level or lower, then you can eliminate the 1/8 thickness and focus on maximum thickness. But if not, then the 1/8 thickness is probably your best choice for your racket. Of course, by choosing maximum thickness and gaining the ability to perform aggressive topspins of all kinds, you deprive yourself of other possibilities that are useful during all-round play. The 1/8 thickness, while still being a good attacking rubber, allows you to chop the ball much more strongly at the table or on the table, and control it much more accurately. This doesn't matter much for an attacking player, but it becomes important for an all-round player. Also, the 1/8 thickness provides more control during various movements at short distances. When you want to shorten the ball, lengthen it, this is exactly what you need. And another special bonus of the 1/8 thickness for an all-round style is that it is less susceptible to incoming spin. This allows you to play more confidently and hit the table better during topspin, flat hit, or counter drive and pushing. This is a big advantage, but don't think that all 1/8 thicknesses are amazing. I initially assumed so and, out of curiosity, tried another 1/8 rubber from a different company that didn't have catapult effect. In other words, it's not a tensor, but an all-round rubber with sponge 1/8. It felt like I cut a piece of linoleum from the floor and glued it to my racket. It was a complete fiasco, and the TT Maximum store will no longer sell that rubber. So there are different types of rubber, and I have no idea how to navigate among them. There's always a chance that you'll get something great or something crappy, or something of average quality. Well, I suggest you rely on the assortment in our store, because we try to test many of our products, and if it turns out that the equipment performs poorly, we stop selling it. So in our assortment, you can be sure that you'll find only the best performing equipment. Now, about the thickness of 2.0 millimeters. This is a medium option that makes sense to try when you have already tried both thicknesses and feel that something is missing. This is possible, especially considering that there are different types of rubber and different types of blades, and sometimes their combinations give us unexpected properties. And by the way, I recommend offensive blades. With modern balls, you can even play defense with them. They have enough control, especially if they are high-quality products like mine. If you choose the maximum thickness, then I recommend paying attention to hybrid rubbers with medium hardness or harder. They have better control and weaker reaction to spins. That's what you need for all-round play. Choose from the assortment of pips-in rubbers from Inha. If I summarize and condense my recommendation into a couple of sentences, I recommend that you have rubbers with different thicknesses and try them one by one in the game and compare. After all, no matter what, your personal practice will show you best which thickness and which rubber will be the best for your playing style. And a couple more important points that you won't figure out on your own without practice. The first one is that rubbers come in different hardness levels. And this parameter itself has a significant impact on the rubber's performance. Especially if you are choosing a thickness of 1/8 mm. Since the thickness of 1/8 goes through to the wood. I won't burden you with info. You can only understand this through practice. The second point is, if you have never played with a thickness of 1/8 mm or the maximum thickness, when you start, you may not like it at all. But these could be fake sensations. When I started playing with my dominant spin 1/8, I immediately felt nauseous from it. It seemed terrible to me, played poorly. I really wanted to stop playing, but I had to continue because I had set out to test it and make an objective review. And it turned out that after an hour, I got used to it overall, the unpleasant sensations went away, and after 2 hours, I realized that the rubber was fantastic and I would continue playing with it. In general, unfamiliar rubber that you don't know how to play with can give you these initial sensations. You need to get used to it. I adapt quickly, but someone else may need a week. That's all. If you have any questions about this topic, ask them in the comments below the video. Bye, everyone.